Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so sorry for all the technical difficulties I'm having. I got home from my errands and forgot that I had a storm last night that knocked off my computer and my internet for a bit, and I had to reboot a bunch of things. So here I am. Let me pull this up on my phone. Let me know um, when you're here. Let's see, where are we? There we are. Hold on. All right. So I got all that going, and I've still got to copy and paste my affirmation and journal prompt into the queue here. Let me do that real quick. And since I've been later and all than I anticipated, I don't know who will be able to pop on here, but we shall see. Let me. All right. Let me look here. All right. Now I know Wendy Unger messaged me, and she had a funeral or something to go to, and so she's not going to be here today. So let's just all send our blessings out to her that she manages. Oh, I didn't realize my shirt is so wrinkled. I just threw this on, and it is. Let's see. Let's see if I can put it right here. Live life abundantly, right? One of my faves. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm going to go ahead and share the affirmation for today. And I think I did a little bit of a long thing for the journal prompt, so I'll have to redo that one. But the affirmation for today is I've got this. My self belief is my superpower. And we've talked many times about us as superheroes and what our superpower would be. And so it's really beautiful when we look at this as that our self belief is our superpower. And we can choose to act on our self belief, to really internalize it as our superpower, right? And I don't know some of the people that are a little bit new. For really quick before, while I'm thinking about it, if you're watching the replay, make sure you put hashtag replay. Let me know that you were here. And anyone who is watching on any of the other places, make sure that you say hello as well so that I can see that you're here. And just join along with the conversation, even if you're watching the replay. So when I say, I've got this, my self belief is my superpower, what comes up for you? Do you believe that you have the superpower of self belief? Or does it feel like, I don't really believe in myself enough to call it a superpower? So, what comes up for you? And like I said, I apologize for being a little late on here, but I had to do a couple of things this morning, and it was like I've way overestimated or underestimated how long it would take to do them, and then I completely lost the memory of last night's storm. It was pretty intense, downed limbs and debris everywhere, but it knocked out my power for quite a while and my internet. And so it came back on late last night, but my desktop computer was still saying we didn't have internet. So I had to play with a few things this morning as I was trying to get everything done to get here in front of you guys. So, like I said, I apologize for being late, but as the old saying goes, better late than never, right? So, with this affirmation, I love that it starts with, I've got this, because a lot of times that's one of the things that we would benefit us to say to ourselves, because a lot of times we're spending time thinking about how we don't have this, what's going wrong, what's going different than what we had anticipated. And we just have all these thoughts. And one of the books that I tell you about all the time, that is one of my favorite books that I refer to often, is by Michael Singer. And he's got several, but my favorite one is The Untethered Soul. And where he talks a lot about how our self-talk, our self-belief, our triggers, so many things, that it's very powerful. And to be honest with you, I have the physical book, but I really, really like listening to the Audible, because whoever is reading the Audible is so good and so calming, and I just love it. So if you have not listened to the Audible version of The Untethered Soul, definitely check it out, because you'll be so glad you did. I know I feel that way. And one of the things Alex Hermosi talks about is, if you want to learn things even faster, listen to the Audible and read the physical book at the same time. And it actually works on different parts of your brain. And just like when I talk about us journaling, when we write in our journal, physically write in our journal, especially if you're a person who writes in cursive, it connects with the brain in different ways. Whether you're printing, still works, but if you're writing in cursive, it just is another level of connection with your brain. And so it's so much more powerful in those instances. So for me, I want to do whatever it creates the most power with whatever action that I'm doing. All right. So our affirmation once again is, I've got this. My self-belief is my superpower. And as you think about that, I mean, take a power pose, do something that creates an anchor for this statement, right? So we're going to put it on our sticky notes, our index cards, our screensaver on our phone, wherever we can, so that it is actually in our field of vision, right? But not only that, like I said, create an anchor. So it could be that power pose, whatever that is for you, because I like the Wonder Woman, right? But then I also like the show your guns kind of thing. So whatever it is that you do that is showing that it's your superpower, if you will think this affirmation, I've got this, my self-belief is my superpower, then every time, if you do it several times in a row with the pose, then you're actually going to anchor that in, so that even though you may not have the actual words going through your mind, every time you take that pose, they'll go through your mind without you even being aware of it. It's some powerful stuff. So let's anchor that in. That's the first thing. Let's anchor in our affirmation. I've got this. My self-belief is my superpower. So go ahead, strike a pose, say it. I've got this. My self-belief is my superpower. And just feel that. Feel the emotions of that. And even if when you say it in the beginning, it doesn't feel true, keep doing it. Because remember, our subconscious mind does not compute whether you're saying something that's true or not true. And the more things that you attach to that phrase, the emotions, the phrasing, the pose, all of that stuff that you put in there actually helps your subconscious mind to think, okay, okay, they've got this. And their superpower is self-belief. And it starts looking for ways to make that true. And so if you can do those things, oh, mwah, delicious, right? So now give me just a minute while I look at this journal prompt that I created. And like I said, I made it too long. So let me look at it real quick. Um, hold on, let me take something out of here that's really not that necessary. I was a little long-winded, I guess. So just talks amongst yourselves right now. All right, let's see if this one, if that does it. Let's see. Oh, it's all moving slow this morning. All right. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share the journal prompt. Now, remember our affirmation, I've got this. My self-belief is my superpower. Whew, right? Really dial that in, create that anchor, make that true for you. Now, let's get to the journal prompt. Think about a time you crushed it, even when things got tough. How can you use that same spirit to tackle something you're facing now? And what's one small step you can take today that shows you believe? Oh, why is that got it? All right. I don't know why I put an I instead of an exclamation, but okay. But just think about it. We've all had times in our life that we felt like things were hard and we persevered and we crushed it. We did an amazing job, right? Whether that means we wanted to talk on a podcast and we were scared as heck and we did it anyway and it went amazing, right? What a way to use your personal voice, your personal story, right? So maybe it was that. Maybe it was something as far back as high school. I remember in high school, I was class president and I was very unsure and a little nervous because I had to do this speech at graduation. And I was kind of scared, but I did it and it went great. Not only that, good morning, Lynn. When I ran for a class president, and I'm going way back, right? When I ran for a class president, I got up in front of the entire school and said my speech. And it was one of those silly things to where I started it with something I had heard because my parents were entrepreneurs and they were always listening to different motivational things, right? And so I started this thing with, I feel like, what was it? I feel like a mosquito in a nudist factory or a nudist colony. I don't know where to begin. That's how I started it. And you know, what was I? 17. Good morning, all listening while I'm driving. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. So it's interesting that why I thought to start with that, I don't know, but I still remember it. I seriously doubt anybody else does, but I do. But it was like when I finished, I felt so like, I did that. I did that. Right. And there have been many times in my life that I felt that way. Now, there are also times I think, holy crap, what did I just do? But we don't even want to worry about those right now, right? We want to look at a time in your life when you crushed it, when you crushed it, even when things got tough, right? And I shared not too long ago about the story of that gentleman or that man that I dated, that things went south really big, right? And I was still able to manage to keep my dignity intact. I was still able to be true to who I am through the process, right? So crushing it, even when things get tough, is not just a business thing. I mean, we can look at business stuff, right? I mean, when I decided to become a health coach, I made that decision, but I was scared to death because I didn't know if I could do it. And I don't know if you remember, but I started as a health coach because I needed to fix me, right? But I wasn't sure that it was going to be the ticket. And I still did it and I crushed it. I did so amazing with it. Now, it wasn't immediate, right? So we want to look at that too. Sometimes when we think that we crushed it, it's not because we instantaneously made a decision and bam, it was amazing. No, sometimes we make a decision and then it takes a little while for it to manifest. But that's okay too, right? So think about that. And it might be that you can come up with a lot of different times that maybe you were scared, things didn't feel good, and you didn't know if you could manage it. Are you smart enough? Are you thin enough? Are you heavy enough? We have all of these things that go through our minds, right? So even with all of that stuff going on, you still did something and you crushed it. Maybe there's more than one. Maybe there's more than five. Whatever that's there, put it in your journal. Just write out it. Write it out today. Spend some time. Lynn, when you get wherever it is you're going, spend some time. If you don't have a journal with you, make some notes on your phone and just write out what's coming up for you with all of this. I mean, when it comes to the affirmation, I've got this. My self belief is my superpower. What comes up for you then? Write about that. I mean, heck, there's so much in this one that begs to be noticed, that begs to be explored. You know, all the time I talk about, let's put on our explorer hat. Let's decide, let's figure out what it is that we want to learn and grow from with this. But interestingly enough, I heard someone talking this morning, and I don't even remember who it was, to be honest with you. It was just one of those little fleeting things. It was actually an ad, but it was so powerful. I thought, oh, I want to remember that. I just did. So anyway, like I said, we sometimes will explore what's happened and everything, right? And that's just to make sure that we're getting the lesson from it and not diving into the despair or the agony, the anguish, the whatever the emotion is that's going with it. We're letting that emotion go so we can take the lesson, right? But we don't want to be constantly looking for things that went wrong, right? Do you get that? So anyway, what this person said this morning, and I thought it was pretty powerful, and I'm just going to go ahead and share it. And I wish I could remember who it was, but I don't. So I can't say that this person said that. Okay. So one of the things that she said that I thought, oh, I like that. She said, if for some reason you're walking in the woods and you get bit by a snake, what's your first indicator? Well, first thing I would think was, holy shit, now what? But then it's like, if you know in that moment that what you've got to do is get that poison out and get help, right? And so that's your first inclination, right? But with the way a lot of us do the things in our life, we would be chasing that snake down and saying, why did you bite me? But that's not really important, is it? It's the fact that you got bit, and now what? And so I think I loved that statement that she made, because it's such a visual and it helps us to see. A lot of times we're looking to figure out why the snake bit us. Like that guy that I dated, and he did all that stuff. I could have went straight to him and said, "Why did you do this to me? Why did you do this? Why did you do that?" But instead, I went into automatic mode. Let me take care of me and figure out how not to let this happen again. So you see, there's a difference there. Was I curious? Did I kind of want to know what the heck happened? Yeah, I did. But that wasn't the important thing. The important thing was to make sure I got him off my cell phone bill, that I connected all these women that I had talked to and said, "Hey, this is what's going on." I removed him from my cell phone. I went to go get my truck. I did all the different things that I needed to do to take care of me and mine, not worrying about why he did it. Does that make sense? I know you're driving, Lynn, so you can't really respond, but no worries. So, what is one small step you can take today that shows that you believe in you? So, as you're journaling, so make sure when you're doing this that you put the date, because remember, we can't recognize the differences that we have made in our lives because they're so small. A 1% change every day feels totally imperceptible in a few days. It's like nothing's moved, but it has, right? So we put the date on there and we fill all this stuff out. We brain dump as much as possible so that in 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever, when we go back and we look at that journal and that affirmation and we say, "Oh my gosh, look at how much I've grown. Look at how much I've learned. Look at the changes I've made in my life." Because one of the books that I love as well is by Jeff Olson, and it's called The Slight Edge. And there's another one that is similar, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head right this moment, but I'm sure I will. But in there, he talks about, it's those 1% changes feel imperceptible in the moment, right? But he talks about, like, if you're a person that is wanting to lose weight, however, you go today and you get a burger, fries, and a shake. You're not going to notice any difference really right away. But if you do that every single day for 6 months, you're going to notice your cholesterol's higher, your weight's a little bit higher, you might feel a little bit sluggish. So there'll be things that show up that were not perceptible in the moment. And it's usually such a gradual change that, like, remember, a lot of the things I talk about is we make these changes today and that becomes our new normal. So tomorrow, when we start off our day, we're starting off here. It's our new normal. And then we'll make another change, and then that becomes our new normal. So every single day, those changes don't feel like anything because it's become our new normal. But if you can look at today and you've got all of this information logged down and you come back in 6 months, oh, you're going to see a difference, right? Just like that burger, fries, and a shake every single day. In 6 months, you'll see the results of that action. So we want to be writing this stuff out and making a note of the things that are going on in our minds and our world so that we can see the difference in time. Because we want to be able to celebrate the changes that we've made. We don't want it to be just, that's what it is, right? Because we, as people, as humans, we want to be celebrating all these changes that we're making. Because remember, if we're not changing, we're dying. Because the only thing constant in life is change. So we get to choose what those changes are going to be. And we want to make sure that we celebrate them. We celebrate them so magnificently with your journals. Maybe you've got a another journal that you write down your celebrations. Maybe you've got a journal for gratitude. There's a commercial right now I saw the other day, and it's actually an Amazon commercial, but he has a journal for gratitude, a journal for school, a journal for this, and a journal about journaling. And then he's got more journals. And that's what I want for you, is for you to have a journal for the different things. Like one of my journals, the that happened today. And so I'm always looking, what is the magic that happens today? Do I put something in there every single day? No, not all the time, because sometimes I'm focused on something else. And remember, whatever we focus on, we draw to us. And this has been a little bit of a challenge for me recently. You know, I've talked a little bit about this hip thing that I've had going on, which has then affected my lower back. And I've caught myself many times having conversations about how much pain it is. And then I think, what the heck am I doing? That's not what I want to draw to me. I want to draw to me that healthy hip, that healthy back, right? And so as soon as I recognize that I'm doing that, I start being grateful for the things that I can do and how it's getting better every single day. And it is. It is. And so I feel that in no time it's going to be exactly how I want it to be. But it doesn't happen if I continuously complain about how bad it hurts. Do you see the difference in that? And like I said, I'm not perfect by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. But I do notice when I'm doing something and then do a reverse of that to correct it, to change my mindset. And so I invite you, if you have something that's going on, one of the things you could do today, the one small step you can take today that shows that you believe in you, is reframe whatever it is that's going on. Reframe it. What's it teaching you? What's the growth in it? And for this, my growth in it is to really hone in on what the emotional state that I have that I'm holding into my body. And that's one of the things that I work on with hypnosis with a lot of people, is that pain shows up in our body, things show up in our body that's going on up here. So think about a time that you crushed it, even when things got tough, no matter what it's about. And then how can you use that same spirit, that spirit of, I've got this. This is amazing. How can you use that same spirit to tackle something you're facing right now? And what's one small step you can take today that shows that you believe in you? Because that's power. When you can believe in you and you can trust that your intuition is spot on, you can trust that the ideas will come to you. You can trust that I've got this. Even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it, I've got this, right? All right. So you have a wonderful, amazing day of belief in you. So today, the belief within you is poof, amazing. You get to decide that right here, right this minute, that you believe in you, in yourself, and your ability to move through life so much easier. I mean, think about it. What if it was so easy? Well, it can be if you choose it. So let's go back to our affirmation. I've got this. My self-belief is my superpower. And remember, do your power pose when you say it. Really bring it in and anchor that so that you don't even have to think about it or see it. And every time you take that power pose, It's right there, right? Feels good, doesn't it? And then think about a time you crushed it, even when things got tough. And remember, that's not necessarily just business. I mean, business is great, but relationship wise, spiritual wise, your personal life, what is it that you've felt was tough that you had to go through and yet you crushed it? It came out even better than you expected. What is that for you? And how can you use that same spirit to tackle something you're facing right now? And then what's one small step you can take today that shows you believe in you? So doing your power pose is one thing that you can do, right? The other is journal and work through this and give yourself the permission to dive in and celebrate you as an amazing person. Believing in yourself more than anybody has ever believed in you, more than anybody ever could. You believe in you. All right. So I look forward to chatting with you tomorrow on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. But before I let you go, I want to remind you that Tuesday, what time is it? 4 p.m. Eastern, in the Facebook group, in the events section, there is going to be a workshop that is going to be so powerful. And it's all about our magnetic ability to draw things to us. There's so much about that and who we are. And so definitely join me. It's a free workshop. And like I said, 4 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. I'm super excited and I'm working today to make sure I get an email out. And I'm doing this for you guys, for some of the people that have been on some of the lives recently that really wanted to actually address this, because just like if you've got a dog and you want it to come to you, if you start chasing it, it's going to run. It thinks it's a game. Life is that way too. If we're constantly chasing people, events, things, if we're constantly chasing, it's going to be eluding us. We want to really hone in on how we become the magnet that just draws things to us. Opportunities, people, places, things, all of that just comes. All right. So I will see you tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, and then Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. You got to be there because it is going to be fire. And I'm looking forward to sharing everything that I can with you guys. All right. So you have an amazing day, believing in you because you're worth it. Mwah.